we are looking at the Jaguar rebrand. I can probably give you a little bit of inside baseball about like what they were thinking and how like that actually happened. And by the way, just to like talk about my credentials here, I do marketing and creative work for a living. So, okay, I find super interesting this because I've worked in this all my life. Whenever I see something like this happen, like, okay, something that people don't understand about logos and about all this type of stuff is that usually it's bad. It's very risky for a company to do this type of rebrand because of the fact that when you do something like this, if people are not able to put what they know of the brand, the values, and they're not able to identify with the brand that you have, you're gonna have a tough time even knowing what you are all about. And here's what I mean. When brands are not explanations of your company, a brand is literally by definition just a brand. What that means is that it's just a mark or something that is easy for people to find you, and not only easy for people to find you, but also easy for people to remember you. So when you go from this to whatever the fuck this is, you're gonna lose some people. Not only because of the font change, okay? Not only because of the font change, which is like, like, listen, the design, the previous one was that much nicer, but it had some character to it. It had some, like, it was nice. But like this one is very much so, it's very minimalistic to the point where it starts to look like a lot of other brands. Here's what I mean, like rebrands, old, new. Okay. Do you understand how soulless all this is? It went from character to just whatever the hell this is, right? This is not good at all. This is boring, and not only that, it makes you harder to differentiate because the Y, S, and L of Yves Saint Laurent, that was like something that you could use as your logo. It was distinct. Like you could see it at a distance and you know what it was. The Balenciaga logo is kind of whatever. Like this is not that much of a downgrade. I mean, I still think it's a downgrade, but it's just because I liked a little bit more the thinner font on this one. But then you also had like Burberry. Look at Burberry. Look what happened. This to me is like fancy, elegant, posh, maybe you could even call it. This is just like, again, like what's the difference between Saint Laurent right now and Burberry? It's like the same thing. And like, and you could keep looking at what happened. Look at what happened to Berluti, a Balmain or whatever. Like this is soulless. So like to me, this is what's happening here with Jaguar. You are going from something that has a little bit of character. It has like it's a very distinct look to it, to just like, more of the same. Look at what happens when they showcased like the release video for this, okay? It gets worse. It gets way worse. Look at this. Let me remind you, this is a car brand, okay? What about this says to you car brand? What about this says to you Jaguar, British cars, British luxury cars? Delete ordinary. Also, not gonna lie, low key, delete ordinary, and they put a white guy. Smile. I'm joking. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, is this a fashion brand or is this like a car brand? Like, what happened? Break molds? Okay, so you're breaking molds. What is this? What are you selling me a car? Copy nothing. Don't worry, nobody wants to copy this. Did you see a car anywhere? Did you see any allusion to cars anywhere? Did you see anything anywhere that tells you that this is a British car company that sells luxury cars? That I think their cheapest, newest model starts at like $80,000 USD. Does any of this tell you, yeah, this is a car? That this is a car company? The best part is that you look at the comments of this, and there's like, okay, Elon Musk act like this is an easy slam dunk for him because he sells. Obviously, he's the owner of Tesla, right? So it's like easy slam dunk for him. And they have like a good response, I think, overall. But then this Elon response is probably like the best response they had out of all of the responses that they kept giving over here. Would you But you keep going down. The Twitter post, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Something that you don't want to do ever, 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 ever. When you're dealing with a social media disaster like this, you don't want to be my head. I want to be like a little bit more verbose of the way I'm gonna say this, but like honestly, whatever. You don't want to be a dick to your customers, okay? You don't want to be a dick to your potential customers when you're looking at when you're trying to sell them a car, okay? You are trying to get their money. You want to give them something that makes sense to your target audience. And your target audience for a Jaguar is probably going to be like higher level people with more money, right? So when you go out of your way and you tell them, and somebody asks you like, okay, are you guys a car company or something else? And you say soon you'll see things our way. You're just being a dick. You're being a dick for something that you messed up. Like you listen, you were the one who messed up like this rebrand for Jaguar. So you'll see things our ways a little dystopian. Yeah, a little bit. And then you keep going down and it just keeps getting worse, dude. Because this is where I lost it and I started laughing uncontrollably yesterday. Where's the car? And they respond with, the story is unfolding. Stay tuned. You know what this reminds me of? You know that one video from Papa John's when he got in trouble and he was like all sweaty and he told people to like stay tuned?
I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days. Living currently in Mark
It's also
Shapiro should be
edited.
in jail. He has no pizza experience. He's never been in the pizza category. I would just say, stay tuned. The day of reckoning will come. The record will be straight.
Stay tuned. The day of reckoning will come. The record will be set straight. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this response over here. Stay tuned. The story is unfolding. The record will be set straight. Awful ad. Is this supposed to risk your tarnished brand? Quite the opposite. This is a renaissance. Oh my god, how out of touch must you be to answer to your potential customers like this? Where are the cars in this ad? Is this for fashion? Think of it as a declaration of intent. Okay, so now we know that Jaguar is not a car company anymore. It's actually a fashion brand. So you know what? Thank you for telling me. Now I'm not gonna buy your cars anymore because you guys are not gonna sell cars anymore. You guys are selling me fashion. And by the way, if this is the fashion you're selling, I want none of it. Listen, I don't want to look like whatever the hell this is. This looks like a gender studies major wet dream of a marketing campaign, and I hate it so much. I've seen this type of campaign made so many times in smaller companies and they just fail. But to see this happen on a massive scale like this for a car company that sells like super, super, super expensive cars is wild to me. Like, my issue is that the responses that they give is just like the most flippant and dismissive response you could give, pretending to have the high ground. Think of this as a declaration of intent. Surely this is a joke. Somebody says, Job 3TX, Texas. A pivotal moment. They are all so unhappy. It's painful to watch. So see, like this one where there's like no good retort to this. They just respond with the standard canned response of thanks for the feedback. We'll be sure to pass it on to the team. When they don't know how to clap back, they just say, oh yeah, thank you. Listen, at this point, if you have to start saying this, just remove the campaign. What is this? A new attitude. Oh my god. Edgy. Will it sell cars? Consider this the first brushstroke. Oh my god, dude. It's eating me on the inside. Patience, the art is in the reveal. It's insane. Do you know what's the fucked up thing, right? When you're working with a marketing company this big, usually the timelines for a campaign like this is probably extremely long. We're talking this was probably like 6 months in the making type deal. Minimum. And I say this as and the fact that it came out this way, it's like, oh my god. Where are the cars? We're setting the stage. It just keeps getting worse. Oh no, the classic comic. Wait, that's a new logo? That's a new car logo? This? Oh my god. This is iconic, by the way. Like the old Growler is iconic. You know what a Jaguar is with this. What the hell is this? This is incredible. You know who I'm gonna make so much fun of thanks to this? My dad. My dad loves Jaguars. I'm sorry for laughing at that. I'm sorry. My dad is gonna see this. I'm gonna make so much fun of him for having like a Jag right now. He loves those cars. He loves British cars. And now he has that. I'm gonna make so much fun of him. Because at this point it's like it's kind of similar to what happened to Bud Light, but at least in the Bud Light situation you could argue that, hey, you know what? Bud Light overall was a little bit out of touch, but not like super out of touch. Like the problem with Bud Light was that they kept trying to push what's his name? Her name. Is it a him or actually I don't know. Is it a she or a he with Dylan? Because I think Dylan is a guy's name, right? But does Dylan Mulvaney like identify as a girl or not? I don't have any dog in that fight because I don't really care if you like what you use to advertise your product with. Like the way I see stuff, it's like, okay, if I like your product, I'll just buy it if it's a good product. Like I'm not gonna boycott like a product just because it has like a gay person in it or whatever. Like I feel like that's stupid, you know? It's like people who were like burning down their Nike shoes when that one NFL player was like taking a knee during the NFL games. I get the sentiment, like I can understand that you may think that, hey, what he's doing is like disrespectful to the flag or like to the national anthem when he was leading during the national anthem or whatever. But like I also think that, hey, you know what? You can be against his form of protest while also not burning down the shoes that you already bought from the company. Like all you gotta do is like not, you know, buy more from them to like not reward that type of behavior if you really don't like what they're doing. In my case, I don't like in my case, I don't really care that much until you like insult me. If you're like actively insulting me or like your audience, then I start to care a little bit. That's when I start to like care more about the situation. I'm more about the fact that, hey, you know what? You are being a dick to me, to others, and I'm not gonna support your attitude. I don't think that your average, like the people who are buying Jaguars are not gonna be like millennials or maybe not that many millennials, but like the people who buy those cars don't tend to be, you know, younger people that maybe would be like more receptive of this type of marketing campaign. It's probably gonna be like a 50 something, 40 something year old, you know, maybe dad of two, or maybe some retired grandpa that maybe wants like a nicer car that's not as expensive as, let's say, a brand new maybe Mercedes car, but they still want like luxury, right? They still want like a nice luxury car. A lot of times when a disaster like that happens for a company like Jaguar, what's actually going on is that this person came into the company. Maybe somebody in their internal team, maybe a new creative director, maybe a new CEO, a chief marketing officer, CMO, whatever. And they want to have like a huge impact immediately. So what they do is that they try to push like some really insane marketing campaigns that's like very different and explosive in order for them to have like a big impact and claim that what they're doing in the company right now has like a lot of value. And I can tell you that that's like for a fact that that's like a thing because I remember vividly having to go through that when in a company I worked with like 2 years ago. They had like this new guy come in and he was part of the C-suite and he came like with like really good reviews. And he had like a lot of people behind him that were like, you know, really saying that he was like a really good pick. He's very talented, whatever. But then like what ended up happening was that he started to push, so like the company was losing money. And his solution as the chief marketing officer, his solution to the situation was to tell everybody to, hey, you know what we need to do? You know what? We don't need to sell more shirts and purses and makeup. What we actually need to do is do a rebrand and not adjust our marketing strategy and instead like do a rebrand, because if we do a rebrand, we'll be able to make an impact in the market and whatever and blah, 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 blah. And if you know anything about marketing, you'll know that, you know what? You shouldn't be doing a rebranding effort on a company that's like failing on sales. The last thing you want to do is make it harder for your potential client to find you. What you actually want to do, if you're not a retard, is to set up a proper marketing campaign where you are addressing like the needs and wants of your potential client. And then once you have stabilized your sales, then you want to go ahead and maybe consider doing a rebrand if the company really needs it. Because that's the other thing. A company like Jaguar, it doesn't really need a rebrand. Like, the only reason you do rebrands is if the company is clearly like outdated and does not look good when compared to its contemporary, when compared to their rivals. That is when you want to do like a rebrand effort. Because at that point, then you can argue, okay, so like we are looking kind of old right now. We're looking kind of, and our competition doesn't. So now would be a good time to maybe change how we look a little bit, so people understand that we're keeping up with the times, right? But like that's not what's happening with that Jaguar campaign. Like what's happening with that Jaguar campaign is that this is, and I'm telling you, because I've been in those meetings, I've been in those boardrooms when that type of stuff happens. What's actually happening here is that the person behind that marketing campaign probably just wants to have like a really big portfolio piece and claim that they made a massive campaign for an international car company that sells cars in Lord knows how many countries. I'm telling you, that's what's happening over there. I can almost guarantee it. Those are my 2 cents.